I'm Allison, and my brother Tom is 5 years older than me. From my earliest memories, it was clear who the star of our family was, and it wasn't me. Tom's going to be the successor of our dynasty, my parents would proudly announce to anyone who would listen. Meanwhile, I'd be standing there in my oversized clothes from the clearance rack, which Mom always claimed were for growing into. I remember the day Tom got his first smartphone. I was 10, and he was 15. Dad made a big show of presenting it to him at dinner. "You're growing up, son," Dad said, beaming. "A future businessman needs to stay connected." "Thanks, Dad. This is awesome." Tom couldn't contain his excitement as he unboxed his new gadget. I looked down at my hand-me-down flip phone, Tom's old one, and tried not to feel the sting. But it wasn't just about phones, it was everything. While Tom went to coding classes, tennis lessons, and had private tutors, I was told to use the internet if I needed help with schoolwork. That's how it always went. Tom got the real thing, I got the budget version. I watched how my parents invested everything in Tom's future, always talking about his career prospects and college plans. Meanwhile, they'd make offhand comments about how I'd probably just get married anyway. "Allison doesn't need all that," I overheard Mom telling Dad one night when they thought I was asleep. "She's pretty enough. Some nice man will take care of her." I lay in bed that night, staring at my ceiling with its glow-in-the-dark stars, bought on clearance, of course. That was the moment I decided, if nobody was going to invest in my future, I'd do it myself. I started spending my lunch breaks in the school library, not because I couldn't afford to buy lunch like some kids thought, but because I was studying. I'd pore over textbooks, teaching myself things that Tom learned from his tutors. I kept quiet about it though. Every time my parents praised Tom's latest achievement, I'd just nod and smile, all while maintaining my straight A's. Every year, as Tom's birthday approached, our house would buzz with excitement. He'd spend weeks browsing online, carefully selecting exactly what he wanted, and without fail, our parents would buy it all. "What do you think about this gaming laptop, Mom?" Tom would ask, showing her his carefully curated wish list. "It has the best graphics card." "If that's what you want, sweetie," Mom would reply, already reaching for her credit card. My birthdays were different. No one ever asked what I wanted. Instead, I'd get beautifully wrapped boxes with perfect bows, and for years, that was enough to make me happy. I remember one particular birthday when I was 14. The box was gorgeous, silver paper with a purple bow, my favorite colors. "Go on, open it," Mom urged, camera ready. I carefully untied the bow and lifted the lid, finding a sweater inside. "Thank you," I said automatically, genuinely touched by how pretty the wrapping was. It wasn't until later, when I was removing the tags, that I saw them, 3 different clearance stickers, each showing a lower price than the last. The final price was 80% off the original. Something inside me deflated as I realized my beautiful gift was just something they'd grabbed from the clearance rack. When Tom turned 18, our parents threw him a massive graduation party. But the real celebration was about his college acceptance. "We're so proud," Dad announced to everyone. "Our boy is going to Riverside prestigious college. Full tuition paid, of course, nothing but the best for our future CEO." I sat in the corner, picking at my cake, already knowing what my future held. Or rather, what it wouldn't hold. There would be no full tuition paid announcements for me. But I had my own plan. Every night, while Tom was out partying his senior year away, I was studying. My teachers noticed. "Allison, these test scores are exceptional," my guidance counselor told me. "Have you considered applying for scholarships?" I had. I'd considered every possible angle. College flew by for Tom. He graduated, landed a cushy job at a finance firm, and met Rebecca. Their whirlwind romance became the family's new favorite topic. "She's from such a good family," Mom gushed. "They're perfect together." I watched as my parents poured money into their wedding. The final straw was the dress, a designer piece that cost more than everything in my closet combined. "Isn't it magnificent?" Mom swooned, showing me photos of Rebecca's final fitting. Worth every penny. I stood there, wearing my thrift store jeans, remembering every Christmas sweater and birthday bargain, trying to understand how they could spend so much on someone who wasn't even their daughter while I'd spent my whole life accepting their leftovers. Rebecca made her feelings about me clear from the start. I overheard her talking to her bridesmaids at the engagement party. "No, Allison won't be in the wedding party," she said, her voice dripping with disdain. "I mean, look at her, she'd stick out like a sore thumb. Everything needs to be perfect, and she's just so simple." I wasn't hurt about not being a bridesmaid. I didn't want to stand up there in whatever knockoff dress they'd deem good enough for me anyway. But her words stung in a familiar way, echoing years of being treated as less than. "Did you hear what she said about me?" I asked Tom later that night. He shuffled uncomfortably. "Come on, Al, she didn't mean it like that. You know how stressed brides get about their perfect day." But I knew exactly how she meant it. And I was starting to realize that maybe being simple wasn't such a bad thing, at least I was real. The day after my high school graduation, Mom cornered me in the kitchen while I was making breakfast. "So," she said, stirring her coffee, "have you started looking for jobs yet? The mall is hiring sales associates." I took a deep breath, savoring the moment I'd been waiting for. "Actually, I won't be working at the mall. I'm starting college in the fall." Mom's spoon clattered against her cup. "College? But, how? We haven't saved anything for." "I got a full scholarship," I said, unable to keep the pride from my voice. "If you'd been paying attention, you might have noticed I graduated with the highest honors in my class." Dad looked up from his newspaper, his face a mix of confusion and surprise. "But you never said anything about college applications." "You never asked," I replied simply. "You were too busy planning Tom and Rebecca's wedding to notice I was staying up until 2 a.m. writing scholarship essays." The silence that followed was deafening. For once, my parents had nothing to say. I started college that fall, throwing myself into my studies with the same determination that had gotten me there. But life had other plans for my free time. It started with one baby, my first nephew, Jack. Then, barely a year later, came Emma. At first, I was excited to be an aunt. But that excitement quickly turned to exhaustion when Tom and Rebecca started treating our parents' house, where I still lived, as their personal daycare center. "Could you watch them for a few hours?" became, "Could you watch them for the day?" which turned into, "We'll pick them up tonight, maybe." I tried to study while watching them. But have you ever tried to read academic papers with a toddler trying to eat your highlighters and a baby crying for a diaper change? "I've got a huge project due tomorrow," I told Rebecca one Sunday morning as she dropped off the kids. "You can work on it while they nap," she said breezily, already heading for the door. "They're such good sleepers." They weren't. My life became an endless cycle of classes, assignments, and childcare. While other students went to study groups or grabbed coffee with friends, I was changing diapers and making baby food. My weekends disappeared into a blur of cartoons and cleanup. My parents' absence during this time was almost comical, if it hadn't been so frustrating. Mom was always tied up at work or helping at the church bazaar, while Dad seemed to have an endless stream of business trips and golf outings. The only time they appeared was to criticize. I'll never forget the day Mom came home early and found crayon masterpieces decorating the living room walls. Jack and Emma had gotten creative while I was trying to finish a term paper in the next room. "Allison!" Mom's shriek could have shattered windows. "How could you let this happen? Do you have any idea how expensive this wallpaper is?" I tried to explain that I'd only turned my back for 5 minutes, but she wasn't having it. "If you can't handle watching them properly, maybe you should spend less time on that computer and more time paying attention to your responsibilities." But the worst incident happened during finals week. I had been working on my thesis for hours, my laptop balanced precariously on the arm of the couch, while the kids played with their toys on the floor. I just needed to step away for 2 minutes to use the bathroom. That's all it took. I heard the crash from down the hall, followed by Emma's guilty, "Oh." My laptop was drenched in tea, its screen flickering pathetically before going dark. 4 months of research, gone in an instant. I tried not to cry as I called Rebecca to explain what happened. "What do you expect me to do about it?" she snapped over the phone. "We can't afford to buy you a new laptop. Maybe if you'd been watching them properly, instead of always being buried in your schoolwork, this wouldn't have happened." I sat on my bed that night, staring at my dead laptop, feeling more alone than ever. Then I remembered my friend Sarah from my study group. With shaking hands, I called her. "I hate asking this," I said, my voice breaking, "but I don't know what to do. I can't afford a new laptop, and I need one to finish my thesis." Sarah didn't hesitate. "I just upgraded mine. The old one isn't fancy, but it works. Come get it tomorrow." I graduated with honors, despite everything. Found a job at a marketing firm, saved up, and finally rented my own apartment. For the first time in my life, I felt like I was taking control. I even splurged on some new furniture, nothing fancy, but all mine. The day of my housewarming party, I had everything perfect. When the doorbell rang, I was actually excited to show my family my achievement. Then I saw the diaper bag on Rebecca's shoulder. "The kids have been so excited to see their Aunt Allison's new place," she announced, pushing past me. "And it worked out perfectly. Tom's taking me to that new French restaurant downtown for a romantic dinner." Before I could process what was happening, they were gone, leaving Jack and Emma examining my carefully arranged cheese plate with sticky fingers. "We should go too," Mom said quickly. "You've got your hands full here, and we wouldn't want to be in the way." But I started to protest, but they were already heading for the door. "Have fun with the kids," Dad called over his shoulder. That set the pattern for the next several months. They'd show up unannounced, kids in tow, always with some excuse about why they needed me to watch them right that minute. I started working late just to avoid being home, but even that didn't work. One evening, after a particularly long day at the office, I trudged up the stairs to my apartment to find them waiting in the hallway. Rebecca had the kids dressed up in their party clothes, tapping her foot impatiently. "Finally," she exclaimed, thrusting Emma's backpack into my arms. "We're already late for the Thompsons' anniversary party, because you weren't home on time. Here's their dinner, bedtime is at 8, and we'll pick them up, whenever." After a year of being everyone's on-call babysitter, I finally had something to look forward to, 2 blessed weeks of vacation. I'd spent months planning it, a beachfront resort, spa treatments, and absolutely no responsibilities. At our monthly family dinner, Mom was going through her usual interrogation about my life. "So, Allison," she said, passing the potatoes, "you've been looking tired lately. Are you sleeping enough?" Before I could answer, Rebecca chimed in, "Well, the kids have been asking for their Aunt Allison a lot. They miss you when you're not around." I took a deep breath. Actually, I might be a bit scarce next month. I've got some vacation time coming up, 2 weeks at Palm Grove Resort. "Oh?" Mom's eyebrows shot up. "When exactly?" "The 15th through the 29th, I replied, not thinking much of it. The sound of Rebecca's hands clapping made me jump. Her face had lit up like a Christmas tree, but not in a way that made me feel comfortable. "Oh my God, this is perfect," she squealed. "Tom, remember how we were saying we needed a vacation? This is literally meant to be." My stomach dropped as I watched her pull out her phone and start typing frantically. "Look, they still have rooms available for those dates." She barely looked up from her screen. "We can bring the kids, and Allison can watch them while we enjoy the resort. It'll be like a family vacation." My parents beamed at this suggestion. "What a wonderful idea," Mom exclaimed. "Allison, you'll have so much fun with the children at the beach." I sat there, fork frozen halfway to my mouth, watching as Rebecca booked their vacation, my vacation, right in front of me. They were all so excited, making plans for my time as if it belonged to them, that nobody noticed my silence. That night, I lay in bed, staring at my ceiling, and for the first time in my life, I started plotting my own rebellion. The next morning, I called the resort and changed my booking, not to cancel it, but to switch to their sister property on the opposite coast. same dates, different location. But I knew that wasn't enough. As long as they knew where I lived, they'd always have power over my time. So I called Maria, my realtor. I need to move, I told her. Somewhere they won't find me. And I need it done before my vacation. Maria, bless her, didn't ask questions. Within a week, she'd found me a perfect apartment in a different part of the city, a secure building with a doorman, no less. I spent the next few weeks carefully orchestrating my disappearance. During the day, I was the same old Allison, nodding along as Rebecca detailed all her plans for our vacation. But at night, I was secretly packing, organizing, preparing. The day before the flight, I moved everything to my new apartment. The movers were quick and discreet, and by sunset, I was standing in my new home, surrounded by boxes and possibility. The morning of the flight, I met my family at the airport as planned. Rebecca was already in vacation mode, wearing a wide-brimmed hat and designer sunglasses, while Tom struggled with their excessive luggage. The kids were running circles around everyone, hyped up on airport snacks. "Allison, could you take the kids to get some water?" Rebecca asked, not really asking. "And make sure they use the bathroom before the flight. Oh, and don't let them get their clothes dirty. I packed their cutest outfits for the resort." I smiled, probably for the first time that morning. "Actually, I need to use the bathroom myself. Be right back." As I walked away, I heard Mom calling after me, "Hurry up. They'll be boarding soon." Little did they know I'd already checked in for my flight, a different flight, to a different coast, departing from a different terminal. I'd timed it perfectly, my flight was leaving 30 minutes before theirs. I waited until I was through security in my terminal before turning off my phone. As I settled into my seat on the plane, I imagined them waiting at the gate, checking their watches, trying to call me. For once, I didn't feel guilty. I felt free. The first day at the resort was pure bliss. I got a massage, lay by the pool, and ordered whatever I wanted from the bar without anyone telling me I should be watching the kids instead. I didn't turn my phone on once. When I finally did check it the next evening, I nearly dropped it in my piña colada. Hundreds of missed calls, voicemails, text messages, emails. They ranged from worried to furious to downright threatening. Rebecca's messages were particularly dramatic. "How could you do this to us? We had to cancel our couple's massage because someone had to watch the children. You've ruined everything. You're so selfish." Mom's messages started with concern but quickly turned to anger. "Allison Marie Thompson, you call us right this instant. I can't believe you would do this to your family. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? You've ruined your brother's vacation. You're such a selfish, ungrateful daughter." Dad's messages were shorter, but equally disapproving. "Very disappointed in you, young lady." Tom's messages were a mix of anger and confusion. "What the hell, Al? Where are you? Rebecca is freaking out." I composed a single text message and sent it to all of them. "Don't worry, I'm fine. So glad you're concerned about my well-being. Enjoy your family vacation." Then I turned my phone off again and ordered another piña colada. The next 2 weeks were everything I'd dreamed of and more. I read books without interruption. I took long walks on the beach without having to chase after anyone. I ate meals while they were still hot. I slept in. I didn't change a single diaper or clean up a single spill. It was heaven. When I returned home, I went straight to my new apartment. The doorman welcomed me with a smile, and I felt secure knowing he'd screen all visitors. I was just starting to unpack when Maria called. "Allison," she said, sounding concerned, "I thought you should know. Some people showed up at your old apartment today, a couple with 2 kids and an older couple. They were there for hours, making a scene, demanding to know where you'd moved to. The new tenants finally threatened to call the police, and they left." I sank into my couch, picturing the scene: Mom, Dad, Tom, and Rebecca, probably with the kids in tow, causing a commotion in front of my old building. A year ago, the thought would have filled me with guilt. Now, it just confirmed I'd made the right decision. After returning to work, I took extra precautions to maintain my newfound freedom. I met with Marcus, our head of security, first thing Monday morning. "I need a favor," I told him, fidgeting with my employee badge. "If anyone asks for me, specifically my parents, my brother Tom, or his wife Rebecca, they shouldn't be allowed up to the office." Marcus raised an eyebrow but nodded. "No problem, Ms. Thompson. We'll make sure you're not disturbed." It turned out to be a necessary precaution. 2 days later, Rebecca showed up at the lobby, kids in tow, demanding to see me. Marcus called up to warn me while security escorted them out. I watched from my office window as Rebecca strapped the kids into their car seats, her face red with anger. That evening, I made the mistake of checking social media. Rebecca's latest Facebook post was a masterpiece of passive-aggressive venting. "Can't believe some people care so little about family that they'd ruin a perfectly planned vacation. Some aunts don't deserve their precious nieces and nephews. Just wait until karma comes around. Ungrateful, family traitor, worst aunt sister." The comments were worse, dozens of her friends piling on, calling me horrible names, all without knowing the real story. I closed the app and blocked her on every platform I could think of. Weeks passed. I settled into my new routine, enjoying the luxury of uninterrupted evenings and peaceful weekends. Sometimes I'd feel a twinge of guilt when I thought about the kids, but then I'd remember all the times I'd had to cancel plans, miss deadlines, or sacrifice my own needs for someone else's convenience. Then, exactly 1 month after my great escape, my phone lit up with Tom's number. I almost didn't answer. But something in me, maybe curiosity, maybe hope, made me swipe to accept. "Al?" Tom's voice was hesitant. "Can we meet somewhere? Just us?" I suggested a coffee shop across town, neutral territory. When I arrived, Tom was already there and asked me to tell him everything. So I told him how it felt to be treated like free childcare instead of an aunt. How exhausting it was to juggle college assignments while watching his kids. How I'd never had time to date or make friends or just breathe. How Rebecca's comments cut deep, but his silence cut deeper. Tom sat there, his coffee getting cold, really listening for what felt like the first time in years. "I had no idea," he finally said, running a hand through his hair. "I mean, I knew we were asking a lot, but I didn't realize." "God, Al, I'm so sorry. I should have seen how much this was affecting you. I should have stood up to Rebecca about hiring a babysitter. I should have been a better brother." A few weeks after our coffee shop conversation, Tom called again. I was just leaving work, feeling good about nailing a client presentation. "Hey, Al," he said, sounding upbeat. "Got a minute?" "Sure," I replied, settling onto a bench in the park near my office. These calls were becoming more regular, less awkward. "So, I talked to Rebecca," he started. "We hired a babysitter. Actually, we found this amazing nanny who has early childhood education experience. The kids love her, and she's teaching them Spanish." That's great, Tom," I said, genuinely happy for them. "Yeah, it's working out really well. Rebecca and I can actually go out now without feeling guilty or scrambling to find childcare. We should have done this years ago." He paused. "Listen, Al, we really miss you. The kids keep asking about their Aunt Allison. Maybe we could all get together sometime?" I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. "I miss them too, Tom. But I'm not ready for full family gatherings yet. The way Mom and Dad treated me, the things Rebecca said about me online, it still hurts. I think neutral territory is best for now." "I understand," he said, and I could tell he meant it. "Baby steps." "Oh, hey, speaking of babies, want to see what Emma did at her dance recital? Sending you the video now." True to his word, Tom started sharing regular updates about the kids, photos of Jack's first lost tooth, videos of Emma's dance performances, pictures of their art projects. It was nice being able to be Aunt Allison on my own terms. Meanwhile, my own life was flourishing. Without the constant interruptions and demands on my time, I threw myself into my work. My boss noticed. Last month, she called me into her office. "Allison," she said, "your performance these past few months has been exceptional. We'd like to offer you the senior account manager position." The promotion came with a significant raise, which meant I could finally afford that yoga studio membership I'd been eyeing. My weekends became my own. Sometimes I'd meet Sarah and other friends for brunch, or take a painting class, or just spend an entire Sunday reading in the park. Mom and Dad still send messages occasionally, usually guilt-trippy ones about family obligations and ungrateful daughters. I've learned to let them slide off my back. Maybe someday we'll find a way to rebuild our relationship, but for now, I'm focusing on building the life I want. Yesterday, I sat on my balcony, enjoying my morning coffee and watching the sunrise. My phone buzzed with a text from Tom, a picture of Jack and Emma at the beach, building sandcastles. I smiled, took a sip of my coffee, and opened my calendar to plan my week. Yoga on Tuesday, dinner with friends on Thursday, and absolutely nothing scheduled for Sunday except whatever I feel like doing.